Hey everybody, it's Paul from Alexandria Knife Sharpening and Laser Engraving. Quick update. Want to tell you a little bit about a video that's dropping tonight at 6 o'clock, so be prepared to check that out if this interests you. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about this video here before we get into it. So what's dropping tonight? I have a really cool video that's going to come out tonight. It's for Taski knives. I got a really cool opportunity. So Taski decided it was time to come out with a new knife. And they have knives that they will sell to their retailers. They have certain design knives and collections of knives. And they decided they were going to phase out one and bring in a new knife. And to build this new knife, they got input from everybody. They got input from the sharpeners. They got input from chefs. They got input from their people in their factories. And they came up with a design. And they built a prototype. And they asked me if I would like to test the prototype. My thinking on this was when I got the message from them that we're building a new knife, what is it you want to see in it? I sent them about a page and a half of, hey, here are all the things that I like, that I don't like. This is what I would like to see. This is the price range I would like to see a knife in because this is what I see that most people want. Now we have the prototype. So it's had all this input put into it, and now it's time to test it and see how it came out. So when they said, would you like to test it? Of course, I was like, yes, I absolutely want to test it. But my thinking is, I've already put my input into here. I told you what I wanted to see. I told you what sharpeners want in a knife. But now we need to test performance. Is this going to be a great knife? We've had all the input. Here's our prototype. And to test a knife, I thought, yeah, can I test it? I can, but it's always going to come from the sharpener's perspective. I already put my input into that. I need a chef. I need a great chef to test this out. And I have a buddy, I've mentioned him before, I have my buddy Taylor. He's been on the Food Network. He's been on Beat Bobby Flay. He's been on Chopped. He is a professional chef. He's a private chef. He works for one high-profile individual. He's amazing. And I called him up and I said, hey, how would you like to test a prototype knife for Taski? And he was like, yeah, that would be really cool. So Taylor agreed to come in. He came over to my house. We test this knife, and I'm going to show you everything on that knife, give you more details about it. And that's what we did tonight. And that will be the video dropping at 6 o'clock. Now, a little bit about Taski. I love these guys. They are a great small business out of Seki, Japan. I've talked many times about how much I love Japan. I lived there for 2 years. I love Seki. It's where the best knives, in my opinion, come from Seki, Japan. And for a long time, I was looking for, one Japanese knife to bring in because I'm a small business. And the problem I ran into was a lot of the companies, their minimum order requirements were incredibly high, way beyond what I could do. I'm not going to bring in 2,000 knives into a small shop. I needed someone who is willing to work with smaller businesses. And Taski has always done that. And I just think that's great. And it was another reason why I loved their products and loved bringing them in because they weren't expecting me to order 10,000 knives. And they understood my situation and scenario. And if you guys are sharpeners out there, especially you guys that do market sharpening and those types of things, if you want to get into selling a really high quality Japanese knife from Seki, Japan, I'm telling you, reach out to Taski. I will put their contact information in the video tonight in the bottom. I will let you know like my salespeople and who I deal with. And if that's something you're interested in, you reach out to them and they will work with you to get you knives. And they will also do it in a way that's not going to break your bank. If you're a small business, they understand. And here's what it comes down to. They're smart enough to realize that sometimes small businesses become medium businesses and medium businesses become big businesses. So you might be small now, but down the road, you might be ordering tons and tons of knives from them. Now, here's another cool thing I'm just going to mention real fast that they do that a lot of people don't know that I think is just awesome. And even their minimum requirement on this is extremely low when you compare it to what another company would ask to do something like this. If you are a content creator or let's say you were an online chef and you have a cooking show or whatever it is, and you wanted to have your own branded Japanese knife made in Japan to your specs and design something really cool, they will do that with you. I don't know too many places that will do that. And I believe, I hope I'm correct on this, I believe the minimum order requirement is 200. I can tell you guys, there's companies that if you told them you wanted to bring their knives in and you told them you were going to bring in 200, they would laugh. They would be like, yeah, our minimum order requirement is 2,000. These guys will build a custom made Japanese knife to your specs for 200 knives. That is like incredibly hard to find. So if that's something that would interest you, check them out. And I'll have all their information and contact in the video. If you're interested in getting one, you can certainly get one through me. I do sell them. I will ship them anywhere. And I do have them on my website. So that's an option too. I don't care where you go. If you go to directly to Taski.com, totally fine with me too. They carry more stuff than I do, and they carry some other really awesome items as well. You guys have probably seen, and you'll see in the video tonight too, I do bring in their cutting boards. They're just awesome. Check that out tonight at around 6 o'clock. So let's talk about this video and what I want to show you here. This was a knife that was mailed into me from Texas for refurbishing. The other day, I put out a video about, it was kind of a poke at the people out there using deceptive tactics with the best tester to make you think that a inexpensive knife sharpener is way better than it is. Now, I don't want to completely bash the best tester because I love the best tester and it has really great purposes if you use it in a smart way. If you don't get obsessed with it, because it can be a huge time waster for people having a professional sharpening business. And I'll explain that. But it's also a great tool. The other thing I noticed, because I bought mine years ago, I think in the video the other day I mentioned it was like $350. Well, that's what it cost when I bought mine. But that was like probably 7 years ago. They are no longer that much. They're in the 200s now, and they were like in the lower 200s. It was like, it wasn't 350. I think I saw it on sale for like $225 for the best one. So they used to be a lot more expensive. I'm happy to see that. So if you are interested in one, you can get it for also a pretty reasonable price. But let's talk quickly about the best tester. I'm totally for it when it comes to testing a new process. My example for that is always, okay, you use a 120 grit belt, you use a 600 grit belt and a 1200 grit belt, and then someone tells you, hey, this new diamond emulsion paste, if you strop with this, it's mind blowing and you're going to get way better results. That's the time to pull up the best tester. Test it, see it, do a bunch of tests with it, and did it improve? Because it does give you a scientifically accurate number when you perform the test properly that you can tell. A paper cut test, my favorite in the world, tells you a ton. And when you become really good at it, you can even get to the point where you kind of know what the best tester score would be on a particular knife. But sometimes it's so hard to tell, like, if you got something that's already really sharp and you're like, did this make it better or did it make it worse? And you're trying to get that scientific data. That's where a best tester comes in, because it gives you a actual number for the level of a knife's sharpness. Now, I also highly recommend you test that knife in more than one spot, maybe 2 or 3 spots if you really want an overall idea, and then take the average of what that test was. Gives you a good idea of the level of sharpness of that knife. What I hate seeing is when someone has a already sharp knife. So for example, let's say you tested the knife on a best tester and it came in at 165, quite sharp, fantastic for a kitchen knife. But then the person spends 45 minutes because they're like obsessed with, I got to get it under 100 or I got to get it to 50 or whatever number in their mind. Doesn't really matter. And unfortunately, a lot of the numbers that you guys have seen are BS, because we know people cheat with this machine all the time and they're using it to sell something. They're not really using it for the data or scientific research on getting better sharpening methods. And that's my point. So if you're going to get one, be smart with it. Use it. Don't be totally obsessed with it. Don't waste tons of time, especially, and here's the difference. If you are just sharpening for your own enjoyment and you just want to see how incredibly sharp you can get your EDC, and it's not for profit or business, then you can spend all day sharpening your knife. I don't care. Put as much time into it as you want. Do as many grit progressions as you want. Do as many crazy things that you've heard out there that you think might give you the world's sharpest knife. All cool with me. I love that kind of sharpening. I think it's fun. But when we're talking for business and for profit, time is money, and you can't waste 45 minutes on a knife that's already sharp and sharp enough for the average user or the average chef out there. You don't need to be wasting time. You need to be sharpening more knives and getting through them and having a process that's very consistent, very repeatable, and gives you great results that make people happy. That's your goal if you're sharpening for profit. All right. So enough said. Let's get into this video. So what happened here? Now you guys know about how the other day, yeah, I did the little short making fun of the people misusing the best tester. But here I'm going to show you why I do like it. And I sharpened this knife. Now this knife was a refurbishing project, and I will show that in a different video. There's a little bit in here about it so you can see the results. My main focus here is the best tester. And I used it. It immediately told me what was wrong. And I didn't have to waste time. I didn't waste time going back and regrinding a knife or starting over. I did something and I said, I've done enough of these tests to know I know what's wrong. And I'm going to show you that. And this is the positive side of the best tester. So kind of the counter to what I did the other day. Here's what I don't like about it. Here's the bad things people do with it. Here's the good side. Hope you guys enjoy it. So a customer contacted me. They have this beautiful Waypoint Quiet Carry. It's in Vanek steel. They weren't happy with the sharpening job it had recently received, and it had scratches on it, and they didn't like the scratches. And we've talked about this before. There are different types of EDC owners. You have your really hard users that beat the heck out of their EDC. And there's tons of videos where you'll see people refurbishing them and, doing certain things to bring them back. Then you have your, what I like to call the more sports car guys. So if you have a buddy that takes out his sports car only when it's beautiful out and not raining, and then he brings it back and he washes it and he dries it off and it goes right into the garage. There are EDC owners like that, the second it's got a little scratch in it, they want it taken out. They always want it incredibly razor sharp. And that is just a different style of owner of EDC. And it's very good to be able to detect these types of owners and be sure that you're giving them the type of sharpening and service that they're looking for. This is not the person that's going to want you to take that knife to a Scotch-Brite wheel or a belt to improve its look, because it's probably going to change the look. You see the people talking about all the time. I see it with the Scotch-Brite wheels. Oh, it gives it a satin finish. But did it change the finish? And that's where I am very particular when I'm working on these higher end EDCs. This knife retails for $300. And you can tell just by the way they contacted me, what they wrote, what they wanted done. They wanted this restored to perfection. And later on this week, probably over the weekend, I will release the video of the polishing that I did with dental radial discs on this knife, so you can see how I went about restoring this. And also know that this is one of those things that I charge by the hour for, not by a set price. I have a set EDC price, which is for some basic cleanup and sharpening. This was way beyond this. To take out scratches and things like that takes some time. But my purpose of this video, like I said, best tester, we want to talk about the best tester. So after I did all the cleanup on this knife and after I sharpened it and fixed the issues that the client had, when I went to test this knife and I did my paper cut test, something felt a little off. It was sharp and it was cutting, but I was like, something's not right here. So I did a best test on it, and I'm going to show you what happened. And 290, which means to me, we still need some deburring to do. So when I had resharpened this on the Tormek machine, another thing I had checked was the angles with a laser goniometer. And one side was at 20 and the other side was a little bit off. The other side was showing up a little bit more closer to 17. So I adjusted that as well. I fixed everything to 20 degrees. But after seeing this 290 score, I knew that I was probably a little too low on my stropping, and I just needed to go back, re-strop. So that's what I'm doing right now. You can kind of hear it in the background. I didn't film it. I went back, re-stropped, made sure I had it higher, closer to that 20 degrees, because I felt I was probably a little too low, and retested the knife. So sometimes what happens is the burr gets pushed to the other side. You might have thought you got it off and you didn't. And a lot of times the only issue is you just need to go back and do a little more stropping and make sure it's completely off. I think we will see a huge difference on this test here. So let's see. And I cleaned the blade off pretty well. $135. Yeah, so that's the one good thing that a BESS tester will show you. What happened was I thought I'd gotten the burr completely off, but this told me that I didn't. I could tell immediately by that score that it was not gone. So I went back, I re-stropped it, I checked my angle to be sure that that burr was completely gone, and now that tells me right there, burr's gone, and that this knife is sharp. When this knife came in, it was giving me around 170 on the BESS tester, and 135. That's excellent, especially on a 20-degree angle. I'm very happy with that, and I think the client's going to be really thrilled with this knife when he gets it back.